everyone. Thanks for joining us here in the Navigate Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm Molly O'Brien. I'd like to say hello and welcome to Rhode Island State Senior Trooper Dan O'Neill. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Great to see you, and I'd like to say hello to our K-9 Trooper, Ruby. Ruby, how are you?
She's here.
Here she is. You might be able to see her. She's jumped up. She's a very well-trained search and rescue dog, and Ruby is up for an award. She is up for the American Humane Hero Dog of the Year Award, and you would not know it, Dan, but Ruby is actually 7 years old.
Yes, a lot of people think she's a puppy every time they first meet her, but she is a well-trained, highly motivated trooper with the state police for the past 7 years.
For the past 7 years. So Ruby has an incredible story that this is kind of like the two-part in our interview. So we're kind of doing like a little series. I know.
She's very vocal.
What did you find, Ruby? What did you find? So we're so excited to be able to have you and Ruby both in today to be able to share her story. Her story is quite remarkable. I was talking to Joe over at the RISPCA, and he was saying this is probably one of his favorite stories that he's been able to share with people working in this industry. Talk to me a little bit about Ruby's story on how you came to be her partner, her owner, her handler, how she's kind of evolved into really from being a rescue dog to a search and rescue dog.
So back in 2011, I received a call from Joe Rosica at the SPCA stating that he had a dog that was deemed unadoptable. How the SPCA deemed Ruby unadoptable was that she had been returned 5 different times from 5 different families with unmanageable behavior. So they tried their best to really try to get this dog a good home. But prior to putting her down, Joe Rosica contacted retired Matt Zarella, sergeant with the state police, and stated that he had a dog that just needed a job. A highly motivated dog that just really would do a good thing in this world if they were able to focus her energy. So what Ruby needs is 100% of your attention all the time. She is as you can see, she's very vocal. So every time she was adopted out, people were just taken back with the amount of energy she was able to possess. She was only 8 months old, so her first 8 months of her life, she bounced around from house to house to house. So she never really had a stable environment. So she never really came into her own. So after retired Sergeant Matt Zarella ended up adopting her for just a couple weeks, he really could see what her personality was like when she arrived at a stable environment. So once she stayed at his house for about 2 weeks, he went through like a boot camp with her to see and test her to see if she would become a good state police canine. Obviously, something as a dog like this would be great in search and rescue. So that's what he was trying to go with her abilities. Search and rescue dog is great as being this size because they can last a long time in the woods, say if they're looking for somebody. And also with her ability to smell, her parents were just very highly intelligent. So her sense of smell might be a little more heightened than most dogs. So she had basically the best of both worlds. So after about 2 weeks, he contacted me and he said, hey, Trooper O'Neill, I know you've been put in for the K-9 unit for the last 7 years, so I have a dog for you. So I was in New Hampshire, and he said, the only thing is you got to get the dog in the next couple hours. Oh. So I said, okay.
Do you have your sirens?
So I came down to Rhode Island, and he handed me Ruby and a leash and a big bag of dog food, and he said, good luck. So I had to bring Ruby home to a pregnant wife,
wow.
A 1.5-year-old son, and another dog that I had at home, which I also rescued from a shelter.
Oh, wow.
So I'm pretty passionate about shelter dogs, giving dogs a second chance. So when I brought Ruby home, it was absolute chaos. I have to be honest, I mean, the first month of having her was very difficult.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
It was. But there was some days that she would really change my attitude, because there was some days where I didn't want to go to work. But as soon as I would put my uniform on, she would start barking and want to go to work. So when I said to her, you know what, I got to give her a chance. And here we are 7 years later, and she is a certified State Police Canine with she does cadaver. So she's certified through cadaver. She's certified through 40-acre wilderness searching. She does article searching, and she does tracking and trailing for the state police. So she has many certifications. She's certified by the International Police Work Dog Association, and we've also gone down to the FBI to certify with them as our victim response team.
It honestly, I've read her story. I've watched her story. She's featured in the film Search Dog with Rhode Island filmmaker. And now I get to meet you, Ruby, which is so great. I get so many hugs from you, and speaking with you because you're the one that's been able to take this on, and there's a team of people that have been able to take this on. It really it's so heartwarming and so incredible to know that there's a team of people and a group of people that were willing to take a chance on the dog and could see the potential and really saved her life, and she's in turn helped save other people's lives, and really making a difference in our community, but not even our community, nationwide. Like you just mentioned, the two of you, through Rhode Island State Police and others, have gone on countless missions, both in our state and throughout the country, just different missions, including search and rescue missions. Can you talk a little bit about some of the things that you two have done?
So we've gone on throughout our career together. About the first year, we have to go through schooling to get certified. So for the past 6 years, we've gone on cases, cadaver cases in the sense of cold case homicides. So things that have gone where they have had missing body for several years, and we'll go and assist other police departments. So we're a great resource to other police departments. So what we'll do is we'll go and we'll assist Cranston Police Department. For a fact, we ended up going and helping with Newport Police Department. So we're able to basically supplement them with any type of cold case homicides or anything like that. So in search and rescues, we've gone through several missing person cases. They tend to always kind of be in the southern part of the state, so Exeter area, West Greenwich, because there's a vast area of woods. So during the summertime, a lot of people, they're not really prepared as they should be when they go out camping or hiking or biking. So once they go out hiking or biking, and say if they lose their cell phone, they have no means of communication. So that's when we come into play. So when we have, some type of search and rescue, what we'll do is we'll deploy her. And hopefully, people aren't scared of dogs. And but we've had several people that have been found because of Ruby. One in particular case, we had a gentleman that went fishing and ended up getting out there for just too long, got turned around, ended up getting stuck in mud up to his chest. And about 18 hours later, we were able to locate him in the woods, and she saved his life. And that was about 2 years into her career.
Ruby, you are a hero.
Yeah, so she had a very good career. She has a great career. That's another benefit. That's another benefit of having a mixed dog like this with a purebred German Shepherd, a purebred Belgian Malinois. A lot of times those dogs won't last as long on the road as police officers. Whereas a mixed breeds like this, they don't have any of the problems, say cancer, arthritis, hip problems, or anything like that. So she's able to stay as a state police officer for a longer period of time. So we're looking at maybe her career could be 12 years, where the average is about 6 or 7 years.
And she's ready to work.
She is ready to work. She wants to. She doesn't stop. Since day one, we haven't stopped. And we haven't left each other's side either. So.
Wow, you are a very patient man.
Yes.
I will tell you that. Yeah, Dan is a patient man. And I have to say your family must be patient too.
Yes.
And you're busy as well because you're a 13-year veteran of the Rhode Island State Police. You're a member of the Canine and Crisis Negotiation Units. And you're a field training officer as well as a member of the peer-to-peer support team and the Honor Guard, as well as a crisis responder unit trainer as well for Rhode Island and local state police. So Ruby is busy, but you're busy as well. And like you said, you haven't left each other's side. And I think it's interesting too to just think about the personal side of this as well, because you've taken on the responsibility and dedicated your career to this, to having a canine partner as well, but your family as well. You mentioned you brought home Ruby, who other families turned away several times. But you mentioned your wife was pregnant. You had a baby at home as well, and another dog. I mean, that's a personal commitment as well. Talk to me a little bit about why that was important for you, for a family decision to bring in a dog that you didn't know.
I have to, honestly, when I was speaking to my wife about it, she knew how passionate I was. I always, since day one, in 2004 when I joined the ranks of the state police, I always wanted to have a dog as a partner, and she knew the sacrifices she was going to have to make. She knew that there was going to be a big change in our lives, no matter what dog we got. But I've grown to know that whatever is given to me is always a disaster, and I always try to make it into
a man dear to my heart.
Yeah, so they always say you get lemons, make lemonade, and that's what makes that's why I do what I do on the state police in the peer-to-peer counseling and the crisis negotiator. I try to keep everything positive and try to look at the outside and just see what the big picture is. And the big picture with my wife and I, when we were speaking together, I said, the big picture is I finally made it. I finally made it onto the canine unit. And this dog, for some reason, was brought into my life. So what I wanted to do was do the best I could for what I was given. And there were some nights where I thought I was going to have to go sleep with her in the doghouse. But then there was some nights where I would call her on the way home from work, and I'd say, hey, Ruby did this, or Ruby did this. And she'd be like, babe, I'm really proud of you. And just because she knows how much effort I put into just her training. I mean, when I first received her, I couldn't get her to sit 5 seconds. Not even 5 seconds. And to get certified as a cadaver dog, our training, you have to make the dog sit and stay for 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. So you're talking about, and you've only met her for the past couple minutes. Now
she hasn't been still for it.
So try to get a dog for 5 minutes to sit and stay. So just to accomplish something small like that was huge. So it was a big family commitment, and it's not like, say if you go into, take for example the SWAT team. You're on a specialized unit. You get home, you put your guns away, that's the end of your SWAT. When you're on the canine unit, you're on 24/7. There's no downtime. Because even if I'm on my days off, we still have to go for a run. We still have to go play outside, because if I don't get rid of her energy, she's going to drive me crazy at home. So the benefit of working is that she's able to stay in the car with me. She stays awake the entire time when we're on patrol for 13 hours a day. So she kind of, is tired when she gets home. On our days off, we just enjoy each other's company. So it is a lot, but as you can see, I wouldn't be so passionate about it if I didn't love her, and she loves me right back. That was the thing. I mean, I wanted to make sure that she had a second chance in life, and just the love that she shows for me is just unbelievable.
It's pretty incredible. Yeah. And again, the way that it all happened, the way that it went down is truly remarkable, and I've been so pleased to be able to share this story with all of you that are watching, to be able to share the idea that rescue dogs truly are worthy, and here she is, now a search and rescue dog, and so much more. She's certified in so much more than that. She's been nominated for the American Humane Hero Dog of the Year, which is so incredible. Yeah. I don't even know if I knew these awards existed, but now that one of our own, a Rhode Island dog, is up for that, what does that mean for you?
So that it was just an amazing nomination. I received the nomination from Joe Wazika from the ASPCA. He put Ruby in regarding a location of a subject that went missing in Gloucester. She did such a phenomenal job and saved that young man's life that he thought that she deserved national recognition. Yeah. So he put her in, and now we're up against 268 other dogs. So we have a lot of competition, but just to be nominated is just amazing. Just the outpouring of support that I got that I've had from the state police, family, friends, people that I haven't talked to in years will say, "Hey, I voted for Ruby," and it's just absolutely amazing. I mean, it's the job that we have to do every day, but to be recognized for some amazing search and rescue is just great.
It is truly incredible. Ruby's a hero. You're a hero, being out there, putting your lives on the line every day to help find others and help people reunite their families, or help them get what they deserve. Help them get the justice they deserve, and their stories come to a complete. You were featured, and Ruby was featured in the film, the documentary, a search dog made by Rhode Island filmmaker Mary Healy Jamil, which was incredible, kind of putting everything together. And we spoke with Matt earlier on Monday a little bit about the story, so it kind of showcases Ruby as well. What was it like for you to be part of that and to kind of see Ruby over the course of those 4 years?
During the filming, I was a little weird having a camera in your face all the time because you didn't know what you could say, what you couldn't say, and plus you didn't want to look like you didn't know what you were doing because everything was being taped.
Yeah.
So,
well, and you were learning too,
and I was
right?
learning at the same. So here I am, a brand new handler. Never received never handled a dog before in the capacity of a state police dog or any type of police dog. So here I am, and then now I have this huge camera in my face, documenting the whole thing. So it was very difficult. So I mean, it was what an experience just to be a part of something like that. That Search Dog movie is just absolutely, it's such an inspiring movie. Now I look at it and it's been, it was 6-7 years ago now. You look at that and you see how young she was. And you can see she's got the salt and pepper look on her face. When she was filmed in the movie, she was jet black. So we both gotten a little older, a little wiser, but what an amazing experience. I'm glad the way it worked out in the sense of that just what it's done to other people when it comes to search and rescue dogs. It inspired people to say, you know what, if he could do it, I can get that dog out of the shelter and give it a second chance.
Exactly, which is truly remarkable. So we really appreciate it, Dan. We appreciate it, Ruby. So you can go on and vote for Ruby once per day per email. So if you have a couple different email addresses. I don't know.
I'm not saying.
I didn't say it. Maybe you did.
Maybe she did.
Ruby did as well. That's right, Ruby girl. So I'd like to thank Senior Trooper Dan O'Neill and Ruby. She's a star. She's a star and a hero for coming on Go Local Live today. We will put a link to the place where you can vote as well. We want Ruby to win and even if you don't win, Ruby, in the competition, and it's a lot of competition, you will win here in our hearts as well. We're going to take a quick pause and get set up here for our next guest on Go Local Live.
Can I say one
more thing? You can say one more thing,
One
of
more
course.
thing. I'd like to thank all the other search and rescue handlers that are out there. You do an amazing job every day, and some days you don't get the recognition you deserve. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, and obviously from Ruby as well, for everything that you do every day to reunite those loved ones. You really do deserve the recognition. I hope I'm able to help you get the recognition you deserve. So thank you.
I agree 100%. I don't think people can understand until they're put in that situation, and we hope no one does get put in that situation. So thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a quick pause. We'll be right back. Hey everyone, thanks for joining us here live in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm Molly O'Brien. I'd like to say hello and welcome to our next guest, Dr. Martin Weinstock. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
So Dr. Weinstock is a professor of dermatology and epidemiology at Brown University. He's a board-certified dermatologist who practices at Brown Dermatology, and he's the chief of dermatology at the Providence VA Medical Center. He is He has been published over 500 times, and he's won numerous awards for his work, and his research focuses on melanoma and other skin cancers. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, is this multi-year clinical trial that he worked on, and this new study that's been published that Dr. Weinstock was the lead author on, published in the Journal of American Medical Association, about this medicine that has been proven to reduce a very common type of skin cancer. Fascinating research. So I wanted to bring you in and talk about it, find out what about the clinical trial happened, and then what it means as we move forward. So let's talk a little bit about the clinical trial that was completed over the course of several years.
So this was a trial involving a dozen different medical centers around the country, all affiliated with the VA system. So the Veterans Affairs, Department of Veterans Affairs provides a lot of medical care for veterans, and so there are dozens of medical centers around, and we recruited 12 of those medical centers to contribute patients to this trial. And so patients who volunteered for this trial, they would put this cream on their faces and ears. The cream is 5-fluorouracil, 5%, and they put it on twice a day for 2 to 4 weeks. This is a cream that we commonly use in dermatology for various purposes, and they just were putting it on their face for 2 to 4 weeks. These were people at very high risk of skin cancers because all of them have had at least 2 skin cancers in the past. And so the point of this whole study was to see if applying this cream for this brief period of time could result in a lower risk of skin cancer for these veterans.
And seems like it worked.
Yes. Yes, it did work. So, so this was a randomized trial. Half of the veterans received the active form of the cream. Half of the veterans just received the base of the cream without the active ingredients. And they all applied it twice a day for 2 to 4 weeks. And then at the end of the first year, we found that for squamous cell carcinoma of the skin, that squamous cell carcinoma of the face, of the ear, so these were the areas that they applied to. They didn't apply it over the whole body, just these areas. And for that squamous cell carcinoma, the number in the treated group was 1/4 the number in the untreated group, in the group that was just using the base of the cream. So that's a 75% reduction in the risk of squamous cell carcinoma of the skin in the first year after this 2 to 4 week course of the cream. And that's an outstanding result, at least from my point of view. And I think it points a direction towards trying to prevent these skin cancers. You know, skin cancer is incredibly common. 3/4 of all cancers in the United States are skin cancers. And the rates have been going up and up and up and up over the years. It's about time to turn that around. And I'm hoping that this will be a first step, and certainly not the last step, but at least a first step towards turning those numbers around so the rates start coming down.
What was incredible about this, I read that you said that even though they only used it for a short amount of time, that it was effective for a pretty substantial amount of time afterward, right? So even if they only used it for around, if they used it one use, so a month, one treatment, the effects were seen for around a year or so. That's correct?
Yes, that is correct. So they used it for 2 to 4 weeks. And the reduction in squamous cell carcinoma of the skin in the areas to which they applied this cream was 75% reduction over the first year. After that, it went back to the usual rates. So there was no difference between the group that got the cream and the control group after the first year. But during that first year, it's a very dramatic reduction.
That seems substantial, because I feel like with other medications you would take daily or weekly, or I mean, right? Doesn't that seem like one use you're reducing the risk for a year?
Yes.
That seems substantial.
That is substantial. And the other things that have been shown to reduce skin cancer risk stop working when you stop using them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, for example, sunscreen has been demonstrated to be effective to reduce squamous cell carcinoma skin cancer risk, but that's been demonstrated to be effective while the sunscreen is being used. Nicotinamide, a pill you can take, also has been demonstrated to be effective for a smaller reduction of risk, and that goes away when you stop taking the pill. So the really wonderful thing about this trial is that the effects lasted for a whole year.
That's incredible. So we've learned this from this group of people, and they were at high risk. They already had skin cancer twice. This type of skin cancer or other forms of skin cancer, or?
Either basal or squamous cell carcinoma of the skin.
Okay. So when we look at this kind of data, when you look at this kind of data, can it be applied for other people in general, or are we looking at people who are at high risk? Like, where do we take this data and where do we go next with this information?
So that's a very good question. On the basis of this study, we know it can be applied to people at high risk, like the patients who are in this study. We haven't studied the people at lower risk. If you're at lower risk, the benefit, of course, is not as great because you weren't going to get as many of those skin cancers. And you still potentially can have some of the side effects of this medicine. So I should maybe mention some of the side effects that were experienced with this medicine by the people who took it.
Yeah, definitely.
So, so this medicine, 5-fluorouracil, when you put it on your face twice a day for 2 to 4 weeks, it can turn the skin red. The skin can become itchy or tender, so it can hurt. And so those are some of the side effects. Those are not life-threatening side effects, but they are bothersome side effects. We asked the people in this study at the end of the study period who had been using this cream, we asked them, if this proves effective at reducing your risk of skin cancer, would you want to do it again, given that you've had these side effects on your skin where you applied the cream? And 87% said yes,
wow,
they would do it again. Because skin cancer is awful. I mean, sometimes skin cancer is very simple to remove. Sometimes it's very complicated to remove. Sometimes you have to get a big hole in your face to cut it out, and then that has to be repaired. So it can be very involved, and it can be very anxiety-provoking as well. So there's a very big advantage to preventing these skin cancers, even if just for a year. And of course, this can be repeated, and we hope at some point in the future to study a repeated application of these to see how well this benefit continues over time.
Okay, that was kind of my next question, is how do we look at if there's multi-use down the road? If someone who is at high risk, can they use it back-to-back years? Can this be a continuous thing? So is that kind of in the pipes?
Yes. So that is definitely something that we're thinking about. And there is some suggestion, though it's not proven yet, that people who use this medicine year after year may have less side effects in the later years than they did initially. because the side effects in part occur because there's sun damage on the skin that the cream is reacting with to cause these effects. So the more you get rid of that damage from the first use, the lesser the side effect for the second use. So that's not been proven yet. That's at this point our theory, and we need to study that in detail to make sure that that's really true.
Interesting. So as we move forward, if people have had skin cancer, they know that they are at high risk, is this at the point where it's something that you can speak to your doctor about? Hey, I heard this on GoLocal, I've read the study, I saw the study published. Is this something that people can start to speak with their dermatologist about? You practice dermatology still yourself while you're doing research. Is it something that people can start talking to their doctor about? This is medication that's used in other forms. Is it something that doctors might be able to start prescribing to their patients for this use, or are we not there yet at all?
It is something that doctors can start prescribing. It is fine for patients to be talking with their doctor about this. We found also as a sideline to this study that in addition to reducing the squamous cell skin cancers on the face, it also has a longer-term effect on reducing actinic keratoses on the areas where the medicine was applied. So that is also something that's commonly treated. Patients commonly go to the dermatologist because they have actinic keratoses. So this is another benefit. So there are advantages. And there may be even an advantage in the appearance of the skin. We haven't demonstrated that. But so there seems to be at least the one big advantage, which was the primary point of the study, and there may be other advantages to using this cream on a once-a-year basis if you're this very high-risk type person.
Well, I think this is fascinating, and congratulations on yet another accomplishment. And I think a lot of people out there, this is very promising, very, very promising. So,
well, thank you.
So thank you so much, Dr. Weinstock, for joining us here on GoLocal Live today. I appreciate it, and remember to be safe in the sun, everyone. Definitely. So
Sunscreen, SPF 30 or greater.
Oh, I appreciate that, and definitely stay protected. So Dr. Weinstock, thank you so much for joining us here in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. Hang tight as we get ready for our next guest on GoLocal Live. Hey everyone, thanks for joining us here in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm Molly O'Brien. I'd like to say hello and welcome to our next emerging leader, Kyle Bennett. Kyle, how are you doing today?
Hey, how are you, Molly?
Good. I'm so happy to have you here in studio. So the United Way and GoLocal Prov is working together to team up to identify emerging leaders within the community. And Kyle and I were kind of going back and forth on email, and you said maybe you're not necessarily emerging. You've been around working in the community for quite some time, but we're happy to have you here on GoLocal.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So let me give you an introduction. Kyle is currently the Director of Policy and Research for the United Way. You aren't a native of Rhode Island, but you grew up here in Providence, and you've been really active in the community, really devoting your life to helping make Rhode Island a better place. So we're happy to have you here to talk all about it.
Great. Thank you so much. Yeah, I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and was transplanted to Rhode Island at an early age. So I've been here pretty much ever since, and just love it. Have become part of the fabric.
And definitely part of the fabric of our community. Talk to us a little bit about, you do a lot over at the United Way, involved in multiple programs there, making your way up to your current position. Talk to us just a little bit about what you do at United Way.
Oh boy, so just a few things.
40 minutes later. No, talk to us a little bit.
Yeah, so right now, in the policy realm, we're really focusing on, I'd like to keep it simple, we just say kids, jobs, and homes. To be more specific, we're really trying to focus on an opportunity for our children to engage in high quality after school and summer programming, to have homes that more Rhode Islanders are capable of living in affordably and in a healthy way, and then to think about the adult ed scenario so that folks are able to engage in rapidly rising economy, and also help themselves to learn more and help their communities to learn more about the new jobs and opportunities that exist there.
I think that's incredible. And you have been previously involved in the, as the director of annual campaign, working there. You did a lot with that. Can you tell us a little bit about what you were doing with that?
So on the campaign side, United Way works with about 600 companies annually and raises around $15 million from 15,000 people, and uses those funds to invest in some of the strategies that we talked about a little bit ago.
Because you definitely have worked your way, doing quite a bit with the United Way and really giving back to the community. And we're going to have you scoot over a little bit. I won't bite you. I haven't had lunch yet, but I won't bite you, I promise. So doing quite a bit with the United Way, so we're definitely happy to partner with the United Way as well. But not only just in your job position, you also do a lot outside with the community, just through volunteering on your own. Part of that, you're a liaison to the Olneyville community. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure. When we moved to Olneyville 10 years ago, 2009, United Way made a commitment of investing about $100,000 annually, but in addition to that, we've supported volunteer opportunities, we've engaged in residential programs that help folks to acquire new housing or learn more about the financial security systems that exist. And then beyond that, we're bringing our volunteers right into the heart of Olneyville to teach them how wonderful it is and where they can find the most amazing tacos in the world.
Oh, definitely. And prior to working at United Way, you've held multiple community positions, including the Director of Black Affairs for the City of Providence, and you were the Communications Specialist for the Rhode Island National Air Guard.
Ah, yes.
You've done a lot within Rhode Island, so we're happy to have you here as well. Let's talk a little bit about, let's get into some of our questions here about being an emerging leader. Talk to us a little bit about who's been your most important mentor and why.
So that's easy. My parents, I have to say, they are hardworking individuals. They're folks that are committed to our community, but most importantly, they believe in supporting our family. So from the time I was a young person, I saw my dad engage in really, really dangerous situations through the labor force, and he ultimately progressed on in his career, but made a short-term sacrifice in terms of his time commitments to work and family, and engaged in an adult ed program, some of the type that we support right now for Rhode Islanders, so that he could do something that he really didn't get to do when he was in high school. He completed his high school degree and has now a high school certificate. While it's about 10 years later, after that, he still values every day that he went through the programming.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I think so. And my mother, on the other side, she was the opposite end, and I, am aware that she has multiple college degrees, but also has just as much commitment to our community, and through her work at one of the local colleges, was able to build and support programs that help people who may not have been the traditional type of student to gain access to higher ed and ultimately become more promising and prosperous in their own right.
It's amazing what our parents do for us, not only directly for us, but help provide a path for us as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Whether they know it or not. Let's talk a little bit about what you've learned from success and failure.
Oh boy. So I learned a lot more from failure than success. And I think every time that you don't quite meet the mark, you're able to learn some of life's most important lessons. And in this case, I'll say my lesson has been persistence. I think in each case where you fall short just a bit, knowing that you can continue to learn, but stay at it until you've achieved your goal, you ultimately become successful.
What do you hope to give back to this state? I mean, you've pretty much dedicated your adult life to giving back to Rhode Island, but what do you hope to see from that?
So one thing that I hope to leave as a legacy to Rhode Island is indeed the thing that inspires us most often. It's the sense of hope, to know that while we may be in challenging times, that things do get better when we work at them, to let folks know, particularly the young professional population, that they have a role in helping us to grow. And ultimately, we will become that community that we seek so graciously so. We become the beloved community, or the divine providence, as long as we continue to work at it.
I think we all have a little bit to give, and whether we choose to give it or not, that's up to us. And kind of in that vein, what do you think everyone can do to make Rhode Island a better place?
Just find one thing. There's one thing that every person can do. Some people look at policy on a grand scale, and some people really look locally. I think every single Rhode Islander has the ability to influence change here. If you can find one thing that you do and do well to improve the condition for yourself and your community, and the next person does the same, we become a better place.
What do you think inspires you? I mean, you do a lot to make Rhode Island a better place, whether it's in just your daily life or in your work life. What inspires you?
So my wife inspires me. She's so amazing. When I think of someone that has the energy to engage in a very tough profession, who also is a strong support for our families and ensures that both her family and my family are continuously connected, and even finds the time to continue to make a meaningful life for us as a couple, she inspires me. But again, I'll also say the young professionals in our community. I think they are ambitious, they're engaged, they are trying to define a path for themselves. And every single day that I look at the folks who are on my team at work, I think, I wish I could be half as wonderful as them.
Well, that's pretty powerful, so thank you.
Thank you.
Let's talk about a couple fun things
Yes.
here. I mean, that's all fun and well, but we'll talk, maybe not so serious. Do you have a favorite place that you like to go in Rhode Island? Maybe either to relax or to exercise or to walk or to view. Just a favorite place that you like to go in Rhode Island.
Yeah, I wish I liked to exercise.
I
could
don't
probably
know.
use a little bit of that. But my favorite place, without a doubt, is the beach. I'm a Pisces. My birthday passed a couple weeks ago.
Happy birthday!
Thank
Happy
you
belated.
so much. I appreciate it. One of the things that I was able to do was to donate my birthday through Facebook
Oh, cool.
to support the United Way.
Oh, that's great.
But and everybody can do the same if you feel so free to do so. But one of the things that I like to do is go to the beach, and the calming effects of the water, just being close to the ocean, here in the Ocean State, it's relaxing for me.
So this is kind of a contentious question. Do you have a favorite beach in Rhode Island? This could cause some problems.
Boy. I love all the beaches in every community in Rhode Island and beyond.
Okay, so if you had maybe like one or two, do you have a couple favorite that you like to get to?
Yeah, some years ago I worked in Middletown, and I used to go to Second Beach a lot. I'd read books and have lunch there. But it's easy to access, and it's also easy to get back to work, so that was probably the most convenient beach for me to go to.
And beautiful as well.
Oh, absolutely.
It's beautiful, and it is one of the favorites of many people. Okay, I like to open this up, either favorite book overall, or favorite book that you've read recently, or maybe a favorite article or something like that.
So my favorite book overall is a book called The Eye of the Needle. And it's a spy novel. It talks a lot about some of the things that we're going through today. When we look at relations between, I'll say, one communist nation and another not so communist nation, but how folks, in spite of their challenges, were able to build relationships. And I think that it left some lasting impressions on me. Currently, I'm reading a book that's called Evicted. It's looking at our housing scenario, not as light in terms of reading or entertaining, but extremely informative. And looking in, particularly being in a city where we have up to 40 evictions a day, we talk about some of the systemic challenges for folks who are currently outdoors or without a home.
Is the spy novel that you read, is that current? Was that a current book, or was it written in the past?
Oh, it was written probably in the 60s,
Okay.
I imagine.
Okay, so the interesting.
When all the great spy novels were written.
And it still pertains to today,
Yes,
right?
yes, it does.
Fascinating. So I always like to get what people are reading now, as well as maybe a past favorite.
Yes.
Okay, another hot button question. Do you have a favorite place that you like to eat, or favorite restaurant, or?
Oh, I love them all.
I know,
there's so
I'm
many
telling you, these
in
are the hot
down
button
city.
questions.
There is a place that I certainly love on Chalkstone Ave, which everybody knows, Los Andes. But I will say, if you haven't been to Oneyville lately, we have some places that are
There's
truly
some
amazing.
hot popping ones over there, like
The 10 best
popping
tacos
on.
in the world. We have Rancho Grande, who is one of my favorite families and restaurants. So I think you could come to Oneyville and pretty much find whatever you like, including Wes's Rib House.
Oh, it's good. West Rib House is good. As we head out here, we're headed into the weekend. Do you have any fun plans for you or for your family? I know I'm telling you these are the hot pressing questions. You give back so much for the community. Do you take any time for yourself?
So this weekend, a local sorority has a 30th anniversary of their undergraduate chapter. I remember the first line of undergraduates, and I'm going to celebrate 30 years of service with them. Not only are they a sorority where they embrace the notion of sisterhood, but they also believe in community service, and I think that's one of the reasons that we were able to connect so early and so young.
That's incredible. Kate and I are sorority sisters, so we believe in giving back to the community as well.
Congratulations, and thank you for your service.
So definitely believe in that. Kyle Bennett, as we move forward, looking into the future, like you said, you have a certain message, a certain legacy that you want to leave here on Rhode Island, and you kind of spoke a little bit about how you think other people can give back. As we are moving into kind of 2018 political season, what do you hope to see from upcoming legislation, from decision makers, policy makers? What do you hope people kind of move forward for 2018, 2019? What do you hope for Rhode Island?
I'm hoping that the path that we've seen recently, where decision makers, particularly in the legislature, are coming together, that continues. I think we're able to make some substantive changes. We have to brace as Rhode Island to be prepared for whatever happens nationally, and our leaders here understand that challenge, so they've been working closer and closer together. But on an individual level, I think folks have to be the change they want to see. You know, live it, breathe it, and ultimately you embody it, and it's passed on from person to person.
I think that's a great place to leave it. Kyle Bennett, our next emerging leader. He's been emerging for a long time. I think he's definitely a leader in our community, regardless. He's been a leader for a long time. Kyle Bennett, I'd like to thank you so much for joining us here on GoLocal Live. We really do appreciate the conversation. I'm Molly O'Brien. Have a very safe weekend, everyone. Kate Nagel will be here in just a few moments with all things news and politics. I'm Molly O'Brien. Have a good one.
Great, thank you.